This is the Halftime Sports Talk Show with your host, Reese Kinder.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 12 of the Halftime Sports Talk Show. I'm your host, Reese Kinder, and we are back again for another week of sports recap on the Halftime Sports Talk Show. You know, this week actually does start conference tournament week. You have 31 conference tournaments in college basketball, and honestly, let's just get started in this episode, and we're going to get into some college basketball and talk about these conference tournaments that we're looking forward to this week and some of the ones that are starting. Here we go really quick. Actually going to go and look. This past weekend, actually, we did have one conference tournament start. As a matter of fact, I believe it was the Atlantic Sun Conference tournament that started. And let me just pull it up really quick if I can. And yes, it was the Atlantic Sun. Started on Sunday. The Atlantic Sun, it's a very small conference, obviously. But yeah, started on Sunday. You had North Florida lose to Austin Peay in the first round of the ASUN tournament. And then Central Arkansas defeated Stetson in the first round. And then Monday, you had the quarterfinal matchups between North Alabama and Austin Peay. North Alabama takes a huge victory as the 1 seed, and then Queens upsets Florida Gulf Coast. And then Jacksonville actually gets a big win against Eastern Kentucky in the first round. And then Lipscomb beats Central Arkansas to move on to the ASUN semifinals. The ASUN tournament, obviously, is only 4 days, but they kind of separate those days, which is weird. You know, most conference tournaments is 4 days in a row, but the ASUN actually just has Sunday, Monday, and then they come back again on Thursday and play, and then they will play their championship on Sunday to conclude the ASUN tournament, and that will be the first actual bid for the NCAA tournament, which is coming up. Actually, Selection Sunday is February 16th, so any big college basketball fans, keep your eye out for that with the ASUN tournament ending here. This will be one of your first bids in the tournament. But other conference tournaments we have this week. Looking at, I believe, let me see here if I can find it. It's going to be hard to find. Come on. Oh, here it is. Yes. Conference tournaments this week. I mean, just honestly, I believe the Horizon League starts tonight, actually. Or no, it's the Sun Belt that starts tonight. Sun Belt will begin tonight as, I believe you have, let me see here. Let's see the Sun Belt tournament bracket really quick. Just kind of pull this up. Here it is. The Sun Belt tournament, you actually have, Coastal Carolina and Southern Miss playing tonight. And yeah, the Sun Belt Conference tournament bracket. That's a pretty decent conference. You're only going to get one automatic qualifier, obviously, but it starts today in Pensacola, Florida. Southern Miss, Coastal Carolina, tipping off at 5:00 Central Time. And then Louisiana Monroe and Louisiana tipping off at 7:30 Central Time. And then tomorrow's game will be between the winner of Southern Miss and Coastal Carolina, and then the other game at 7:30 will be between the winner of Louisiana Monroe and Louisiana. But yes, the Sun Belt Conference tournament is beginning here soon. Actually 30 minutes is when it's beginning. And then tomorrow is the Ohio Valley Conference tournament begins in Evansville, Indiana. No, it's not campus sites, so they will not be playing at the home team's arena. So they will be playing in Evansville, Indiana, in the Ford Center. And then also another conference tournament is the Big South Conference tournament begins on March 5th, and then they resume the 7th through the 9th, and that will end that. That's Freedom Hall Civic Center in Johnson City, Tennessee. And then the Missouri Valley Conference begins later this week, March 6th on Thursday, in Enterprise Center in St. Louis, Missouri. And then obviously the Atlantic Sun, as we mentioned. Then the Summit League begins on Wednesday, and that's a pretty big tournament as well. That is going to be in the Denny Sanford Premier Center in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. That's going to be a huge tournament. And then on Friday, we begin with the SoCon Conference. That's going to be held at the Cherokee Center in Asheville, North Carolina. And then the Sun Belt obviously begins tonight and ends March 10th on Monday. And that is in Pensacola Bay Center in Pensacola, Florida. Then the Horizon League also begins tonight, and then we'll resume again on Wednesday, and then we'll resume again over the weekend. And those are campus site games and then the championship is at the Corvette Center or Corvette Coliseum in Indianapolis. And then the Northeast Conference tournament begins March 5th and will end, or well, we will resume the 8th, and then they will resume again on the 11th. And then the Coastal Atlantic Athletic Association, that is March 7th through 11th at the Care First Arena in Washington, D.C., and then the West Coast Conference begins March 6th through 11th in Orleans Arena in Las Vegas. And then also you have the Patriot League beginning March 8th through 12th. And then the Big Sky is the 6th through the 9th. The American East is the 8th, 11th, and 15th. And then the rest of the conference tournaments will be highlighted next week. So stay tuned for some of those. Those are the bigger conference tournaments. So those are for sure going to be something to look out for. But going to go into our matchups for tonight, some key matchups we are looking at tonight. Starting off with the first one at 8 o'clock Central Time, 9 o'clock Eastern, you have the number one team in the country, the SEC regular season champions, the Auburn Tigers, facing off against the Texas A&M Aggies in College Station, Reed Arena. Going to be a very hostile environment. Spread is 4.5 for Auburn. This game, honestly, going to be a good game. Don't really know the status on Denver Jones. Don't know the status on Johni Broome. I wonder if Bruce Pearl, that's what a lot of the Auburn fans have been saying over the past week, is Bruce Pearl going to rest his players, or is he going to go all out and try to win the rest of the games? Personally, in my opinion, I think if you're Bruce Pearl, you got to win as much games as possible just so you can secure that top seed. I mean, obviously you already have, but just kind of make it even harder for someone to catch up and just kind of make it easier for yourself to get a very good region in the NCAA tournament. But I have Auburn winning this game even without, if Denver Jones doesn't play or Johni Broome doesn't play. I have it being a pretty good game, but I see the Tigers coming out on top in a big one in College Station, and they get their 16th SEC win of the season. That's what I think is going to happen. So, yeah, big game for the Tigers on the road, but I think they can get the job done in College Station. And then another big game tonight is actually you have BYU going up against Iowa State at Iowa State. BYU, pretty good team, 21-8 and 12-6 in the Big 12, and then Iowa State 22-7, 12-6 in the Big 12. So this is big implications for the Big 12 tournament next week. And we'll see what happens in this one in Ames. It's in Ames, so this is going to be hostile environment for BYU, but I believe BYU might be able to get the job done. I'm still going to take Iowa State, but I don't think they cover. I'll take them to win this one in a close battle at home between these two. That game is tipping off at 8 o'clock Central Time, 9 o'clock Eastern on ESPN2. And then, yeah, honestly, not really any big games tonight, but going into tomorrow night, actually, you have the first game at 5:30 Central Time, 5:30 or 6:30 Eastern Time. My bad, stumbling with my words right now. In Ann Arbor, you have the number 13 Maryland Terrapins versus the number 17 Michigan Wolverines. Michigan's been on a very, very good streak of basketball as of late, but Maryland also has as well. And this is going to be a heavyweight Big Ten matchup in the last week of conference play until you get into the conference tournament. So these two teams definitely going to be fighting for a spot in the conference tournament, and it should be a fun one between these two. And I think we're going to enjoy that. If you guys watch that game, that's going to be a fun game to watch with those two teams. But I got Michigan at home. Michigan's been very dominant at home this year, and I got the Wolverines coming out on top and beating Maryland, pulling off the upset. But then another game 30 minutes later, actually, at 6 o'clock Central, 7 o'clock Eastern, you have the Florida Gators, number 5 team in the country, and the number 7 Alabama Crimson Tide in Tuscaloosa at Coleman Coliseum. I would like to go Bama here because Bama, I mean, they've been playing decent as of late, but I think Florida's got this one, honestly. Florida came into Neville Arena, a very hostile environment. I think it's going to be the same way in Tuscaloosa. And they beat Auburn by 9. I think they might beat Bama even worse, to be honest. But I got the Gators winning this one in Tuscaloosa and getting another big conference win, and that would put them actually in second place. So that'd be huge for Florida, and that would probably move Alabama out of possibly a number 1 seed and maybe put, because this is the thing. I mean, who do you put at a number 1 seed if Bama does lose? Because then you would have to, Florida's not a number 1 seed anymore. There are 2. Would you put Florida, Tennessee, or Bama? Because Tennessee hit that buzzer beater. If you guys didn't see, they hit that buzzer beater on Saturday against Bama, and that won Auburn the regular season SEC championship. So honestly, who do you put at the other 1 seed? Is it Tennessee, Bama, or Florida? We'll have to find out when Joe Lunardi comes out with his bracketology coming up, I believe Friday. So that's going to be big. But yeah, I got Florida winning in Tuscaloosa at 6 o'clock tomorrow. So just definitely look out for that game for sure. And then another big game tomorrow night is UConn and Marquette at UConn. That is 7:30 Central, 8:30 Eastern in Storrs, Connecticut. I like UConn in this one at home, but Marquette, I mean, they've been slumping a little bit. I think they're going to get back on their A game and get a win on the road, a Big East win on the road, and that's tough to do in that Big East conference with St. John's, Creighton, Providence, other teams like that. I mean, it's very hard to get a win on the road in the Big East, and I got the Golden Eagles getting a win on the road in Storrs, and that's a huge win for them going into conference tournament week for sure. Excuse me, but yeah, I got Marquette beating UConn tomorrow night, and then coming up 30 minutes after that at 8 o'clock Central, 9 o'clock Eastern, you got Tennessee at Ole Miss. Ole Miss, very good environment. I like the environment there at Ole Miss. I think this could be tough for the Vols. Obviously, just coming off that huge buzzer beater win against Bama. But yeah, I think this could be tough for the Vols. Surely, I mean, you could see Ole Miss get a huge win, and that would definitely boost a lot of confidence for them going into the SEC tournament. Obviously, they have one more game to play after that, but yeah, going to the SEC tournament, that would be huge to get a win against Tennessee in the last week of conference play. And then I believe, let's look here. I don't see. Let's go to Thursday really quick. Thursday, not really anything interesting. Friday, not anything interesting. But Saturday. That is the last day of majority of conferences, actually. And the first game I want to highlight is at 1:30 Eastern Time, or 1:30 Central Time, 2:30 Eastern Time. It's the Iron Bowl between Auburn and Alabama in Neville Arena. This is a huge game. We watched them play a few weeks ago. Auburn came out on top in Tuscaloosa. But can Auburn sweep the regular season series? Who knows? We will see. But I got the Tiger. I got the Tigers in Neville Arena for sure. I don't think Alabama's going to be able to handle the crowd noise. And I think the Tigers are going to be up for that game. Especially if they come off a huge win against Texas A&M. I think Auburn can get a big win against Bama and end the regular season 29-2. Probably the best record in Auburn basketball history, but I think that could definitely be something we see with Auburn beating Bama in Neville Arena at 1:30 on ESPN. But yeah, definitely look out for that. But another game to look out for, another rivalry game, the big one. Duke and North Carolina is on Saturday at 5:30 on ESPN and Dean E. Smith Center in Chapel Hill. This time it's in Chapel Hill. Duke got the first punch thrown in Durham, but can North Carolina strike back and even the series? North Carolina's been on a run lately. I believe won 6 in a row. And yeah, this Duke team though, they did get a big win last night against Wake Forest at home. But Duke, who knows? I mean, that rivalry, always something happens. It doesn't matter if you're ranked, unranked, but this would be huge for Duke if they could end the season 28-3 and 19-1 in the ACC. That'd be absolutely tremendous. But I'm going to say Duke wins in a close one. I don't take my word on that, though. I do think there's a possibility North Carolina can get a win, but we'll see what happens on Saturday between those two. And then at 11 a.m. On Fox, actually, you have St. John's, the winner of the Big East regular season title, and then you have Marquette, the number 20 ranked team in the country, at Marquette. These two teams did previously meet earlier in the year. St. John's did win, but can St. John's get that second win and sweep the season series? I don't think so, honestly. I know St. John's has played a lot of good basketball, but Marquette, if they can beat UConn tonight, or no, not tonight, tomorrow night, I believe that, they can beat St. John's on Saturday as well and end the season off strong, which would be really good for the Golden Eagles. I think that's a team. If you look at Cinderella teams in March Madness, I know it's a big-name school. Marquette's a big-name school, but still, that's one of the Cinderella teams you got to look out for in March Madness for sure. But I got the Golden Eagles winning that one against St. John's. And then at 11 a.m. on ESPN, you have Kentucky and Missouri at Missouri in Mizzou Arena in Columbia. I got Missouri in this one, honestly. Kentucky did not impress me at all when they played Auburn. I thought it was going to be a closer game than that. But no, Auburn just ran all over them. And I think Mizzou might do the same thing, honestly. I feel like Mizzou can get a big win here to end the regular season off strong. And that would make Kentucky, if Kentucky loses Wednesday and Saturday, they make them 8-10 in SEC play, and that would not be good for Kentucky at all. But I got Mizzou winning this one at 11 a.m. on ESPN on Saturday. And honestly, just looking down the line, not really any more good games on Saturday. A lot of rivalry games, though, so definitely a great slate for Saturday and this whole week, the last week of college basketball regular season. Sad to say, but it is coming to an end. But it has been a tremendous college basketball season. Really loved it. I mean, just all sorts of great moments to recap throughout the year, and can't wait to see conference tournament week. Obviously did watch a few on Sunday and Monday, but can't wait to continue watching it and then watch March Madness this next few weeks. But yeah, that's going to do it for men's college basketball. But we are going to stay on basketball, and you guys are going to be surprised what I'm doing here. I'm actually covering NBA. I usually don't cover NBA just due to the fact that I've really noticed that the NBA doesn't get a lot of viewership, and I've never really felt the need to cover it, but I will cover it. I will cover the NBA now, and kind of going to get started. Honestly, breaking news out of the Mavs, according to Shams, Anthony Davis's season likely over with the Mavs. And then obviously, we heard the news early this morning, Kyrie Irving out for the season with a torn ACL, and everything's just gone wrong with the Mavs this year. I mean, the Anthony Davis trade with Luka, and then obviously Kyrie Irving now torn ACL, Anthony Davis out with, I believe, some sort of, I don't even know what it is, honestly. I think it's let's see what it is here. I think it's let's see. I believe it's a quad is what it is, but I mean, it's just, tough news for the Mavericks, honestly, and that's really heartbreaking too. This Mavs team was a pretty decent team, and obviously that's going to hurt for sure with the Mavs trying to kind of make that playoff push. But I mean, tough news coming out of Dallas. But can the Mavs do with the players they have? I don't know. Hopefully they can. I mean, we'll see. And I really do hope the Mavs kind of get things going, because it's definitely been a rough season if you're a Mavs fan, for sure. But then other news, if you haven't heard this week, Joel Embiid actually might not be a 76er anymore. He's been with the 76ers his whole career, basically. And that'd be heartbreaking for the 76ers. They've just not been one of the best teams this year, honestly. And if I was Joel Embiid, I would leave too. I mean, that's the 76ers, I believe, if I can find their record, they're 21-39 this year. I mean, that's heartbreaking. Usually you see them in the playoffs, and this year they're basically not even a bubble team at this point, and very heartbreaking for the 76ers. And I think Joel Embiid might leave, honestly, because it's the thing is now in the NBA, it's just about money at this point. I mean, you're not staying on the team for loyalty. It's just about money. So I could see Joel Embiid leaving for a big contract deal, and he could probably go to a superstar team. Maybe the Lakers. I mean, the Lakers might get him. There's a possibility, but they'd have to give away someone big. But gonna move on to some NBA games we have tonight. Actually, first game we have tonight is the Raptors and the Magic. Magic, trying to make that bubble push. I don't know if they're actually on the bubble. But yeah, trying to make that push for the bubble. And yeah, it's in Orlando. Magic are actually a 7-point favorite at 6 p.m. on FanDuel Sports Network. So that gotta look out for that game for sure if you're a Magic fan. I mean, the Raptors, if they do beat you, that would be some tough luck there. Because obviously you would be out of the bubble as of now, and that would really hurt. But yeah, I got the Magic in this one winning. I got them winning close against the Raptors. The over/under is 207.5. So, and then another big game tonight. We got two playoff hopefuls. Actually. You got the Rockets and the Pacers. Actually, soon we will talk about the NBA playoffs for a second. What we think is going to happen. But yeah, you got the Rockets and the Pacers. Actually, the Pacers is at the Pacers, and this Rockets team's been pretty solid all year. But so is Indiana, honestly. But I got Houston winning on the road here, and getting another big win to kind of push their playoff or get their playoff hopes even higher now, getting towards that playoffs. We only have a few more games left, honestly, because the All-Star break did just end. And then you got another big game tonight, the Bucks and the Hawks. It's in Atlanta. I got the Bucks in this one, honestly. Even though the Hawks did make a buzzer beater last night, I do have the Bucks winning. One of my good friends is a Hawks fan, so don't be mad at me. The Hawks, just to me, aren't going to be able to compete with Milwaukee, but we'll see tonight. 6:30 is the tip, so it'll be interesting to see what happens. And then later on you got the Warriors and Knicks. Warriors trying to make a playoff push, but the Knicks, they're way far out ahead right now, 40-20. But the Warriors have been pretty solid as of late, beating a few decent teams. And Steph Curry actually scored 56 a week or two ago, I believe. And then another good game tonight you got is between actually there is no other good games tonight. I mean, the Cavs play the Bulls, but Cavs have kind of owned the Bulls all year, so yeah. But yeah, gonna look really quick at the NBA standings. We're gonna look at the NBA standings really quick. If it wants to load. Hopefully it does. If it loads. It's slowly loading. Okay, here we go. Yeah, the NBA standings currently, actually, it's like, if you look here, I believe your number one seed, obviously in the I don't even want to say this right. Your number one seed in the East is the Cavs, obviously. I mean, you got the Cavs, the Celtics, the Knicks, the Bucks, Pacers, Pistons. Pistons sounds weird to say. Pistons were terrible last year. And then the Heat, the Magic, the Hawks, and the Bulls. Honestly, right now, I don't see anything changing. The Bulls are pretty far out ahead of the Nets. I mean, the Hawks are in decent position. The Magic are in a pretty good position as well. So are the Heat. So are the Pistons. I really don't see anything changing in the East. I like it right now. I think if the playoffs were to start today, I would say I got the Cavs winning it all. Cavs or Celtics, one of them, I would say. Maybe the Knicks. Maybe you put the Knicks in there, but I say Cavs or Celtics for sure. And then moving on to the West, the Thunder they're so far in front of everybody that I don't even think anybody's catching them at this point. And then you got the Lakers, Nuggets, Grizzlies, Rockets, Warriors, Clippers, Kings, Timberwolves, Mavericks, and then the Suns, Mavericks. They're in a tough spot here. I think the Suns could overtake possibly, and I like the Trailblazers possibly overtaking. Trailblazers have been pretty decent, so I could see them possibly overtaking one of those teams like the Timberwolves or Mavericks. But yeah, I mean NBA playoffs are coming up. Not soon, but they're getting close. Season ends in April, so you got 1 month left of NBA. But yeah, I mean, obviously, didn't want to spend too much time on it because I don't really know a lot of NBA. I'm not really a big follower of NBA, so but did want to talk about some of the injury news with Kyrie and Anthony Davis. But yeah, gonna move on now from NBA and go to some MLB baseball. We got some spring training news. We have been looking at spring training. Obviously, did watch a few spring training games this weekend from the Braves. But obviously, some big news coming out of spring training. First off, going to get started with some Yankee injury news. DJ LeMahieu has a bone fracture in his right foot, and it's looking like the injury is more significant than initially expected. That's bad news for the runner-up team from last year's World Series. And yeah, another bad news too. Garrett Cole, elbow, 3 to 4 weeks. So, I mean, just some big injuries for this Yankees team who just came off one of the best seasons they've had in a while. And that's definitely going to be something to look out for, is injuries in spring training. Because yeah, some of these teams can't afford injuries, and the Yankees are one of them. But yeah, 2 big injuries going into the Yankees so far, and that's not good. I mean, LeMahieu bone fracture, and then you got Garrett Cole, who will not throw for 3 to 4 weeks. But Aaron Judge, I mean, he did come off of a slight injury. He hasn't played a game since March, or since like I don't even know when, and it's been a while. But Aaron Judge did come out and hit a double in spring return from his injury, so that's pretty good. But yeah, I mean, honestly, so far things that we've seen from spring training have been positive. I mean, I like the Braves right now. I like Jurickson Profar for sure. I've seen a lot of just great things and highlights from him, and then obviously Matt Olson's having a pretty good spring as well. So, and then Austin Riley didn't play his first few spring training games because they just gave him rest. And then yeah, he played pretty good as well. So, yeah, I like what the Braves are doing. Also, I mean, we'll see what happens going into this season. There is some Braves news as well. Sean Murphy did crack his rib, and he will miss opening day. Drake Baldwin, that's another guy I was going to say because I was going in catchers. Drake Baldwin, actually very, very good player. I mean, I think that could be a pretty good Braves catcher for sure. But yeah, I mean, I like what I've seen from the Braves, and then I would say also just kind of looking at teams we saw from last year that made the playoffs that will not make the playoffs next year. Let's just kind of run it down really quick. I don't think the Houston Astros will make the playoffs. I mean, they enter the new year having made the playoffs in 9 of their last 10 seasons, including each of the past 7. And then, as impressive as that is, I mean, at some point, basically you can't maintain that. There's going to be some point you just don't make the playoffs. But I mean, they haven't. I mean, if you look at it, I wouldn't be shocked if the Astros find a way to make it in October again. But the West is looking like it's a pretty decent race between. You got the Mariners, who are going to be really good. The Athletics might be decent, and then you got the Astros in there. But I see probably the Mariners and Athletics possibly being the 2 teams that are going to be competitive because I don't see the Angels and Rangers being that good. I would say another team that probably won't make the playoffs, that they might sneak in. I don't know. But the Padres, have had factors working against them. They're coming off of an offseason which they barely participated in. I mean, no moves at all. And then basically their division rivals beefed up. The Giants added Willie Adames, Justin Verlander. The D-backs had Corbin Burns, and then the Dodgers already obviously reigning World Series champions. So most of the West did beef up their lineups, and that's going to hurt because, obviously you got guys that are 31 years or older on the team. Manny Machado, Jake Cronenworth, Xander Bogaerts, Fernando Tatis, Jackson Merrill, Musgrove, and then Yu Darvish and Michael King. Those are some older guys. And then I don't know why AJ Preller decided not to go after anybody. That's the GM for the Padres, and I don't know why he decided to go after anybody, but he didn't. So that's really going to hurt. But we'll see what San Diego can do in a tough West division this year. That will be one of the best divisions in baseball this year for sure. Another team that I think will not make the playoffs is the Cleveland Guardians. Basically, obviously, they have like the Guardians have always went on that philosophy of one-run games, extra inning games. While it's nice and all, but if you're looking at it, Stephen Vogt won manager of the year, but obviously last year the Guardians went 26-19 in one-run games, and that's good for the third highest winning percentage in the majors. The Guardians were also an improbable 10-3 in extra inning games, and then obviously you got Emmanuel Clase. It's easy to look at like Cade Smith, Eric Skabrowski, and then Hunter Gaddis. But, if you think about it, also they have Shane Bieber as well. But if you think about it, I could see them maybe getting 82, 83 wins. But the playoffs, I don't think that's going to happen with the way things have kind of went in this offseason for Cleveland for sure. But we'll see. Who knows? Maybe they surprise me. Cleveland last year did surprise me. I didn't think they would be that good, but they did surprise me and make the playoffs. So we'll see if they do something because they still have a pretty decent lineup, I think. Another team that I think will not make the playoffs is the Kansas City Royals. I loved watching this team play in the playoffs. Obviously, they did lose, but obviously, you only got the Jonathan India trade, the Carlos Estevez signing, the Michael Wacha signing, and then you got Michael Lorenzen, and then you also got Salvi coming back again. You also still got guys like MJ Melendez and Michael Garcia. But, other than that, you don't really have anything on that team. Bobby Witt's a solid player, but can Kansas City win? That's the real question. They only won 86 games, should have won 100, but only won 86. So I think Kansas City's going to have to do a lot of digging to find a way to make the playoffs, and they're going to have to do what they did last year and get off to a great start and just continue that run and not fall off at the end of the season is what that's what they did last year. You got to maintain at the end of the season and see what happens. But yeah, the last team I think that will not make the playoffs actually is the Detroit Tigers. The Detroit Tigers obviously barely made the playoffs, had a great run in September and August. Had great runs. But they do have a few notable additions like Jack Flaherty and Alex Cobb, and then they have some impressive young hitters. But really, realistically, I don't think the Tigers will make it back to the postseason. I could see them possibly being decent, but not good enough to beat. Not good enough to make the playoffs, obviously. But we'll see. Detroit. I've always rooted for them to kind of make the playoffs, but they're in a okay division, so they could possibly do something. But yeah, those are my 5 teams I think that possibly won't make the playoffs next year. But still staying in MLB news a little bit. Can it load, please? Honestly, let's kind of look at some prospects. Some prospects I liked in spring training so far. One of these starting prospects, you got Christian Campbell. He's a utility on the Red Sox. He's emerged as one of the best prospects in the sport after tweaking his swing and adding a bat speed. His path to the opening day roster, maybe contingent to how the Red Sox align the rest of their infield. I mean, Rafael Devers, Alex Bregman mess. I mean, who knows? And then Campbell does have a few things he's working on a little bit. Yeah, I mean, he honestly, I think, is a pretty solid player. He's honestly a candidate for Rookie of the Year, in my opinion. But yeah, I mean, I think Campbell could possibly be a huge addition for the Red Sox in that infield, especially since their infield really has been struggling in spring training for sure, and he's been stepping up big. Another guy I liked in spring training is Matthew Shaw. He's third baseman for Chicago Cubs. Isaac, or not Isaac. What was I saying? Kyle Tucker got traded to the Cubs, and unfortunately, he's suffered an oblique injury since he's arrived, and the Cubs would likely turn to John Birdie or a Rule of 5 selection, George Workman. Shaw does have the strength and a good feel for the barrel, making him honestly a youngster worth watching whenever he gets summoned to the friendly confines. But yeah, I like Matthew Shaw as third baseman for the Chicago Cubs, possibly making an opening day debut. And then for the White Sox, going across town in Chicago, shortstop Colson Montgomery. White Sox, not a very good team. I could see him definitely making this roster. He had he had above a 700 OPS in AAA last year, delaying his arrival in Chicago. I think honestly, Montgomery could possibly be a huge hitting addition to the White Sox, which they definitely need. They did not score a lot of runs last year, so I definitely like Colson Montgomery with Chicago. And then I do like Christian Moore. He came from LSU last year, and he did get drafted. But I like Christian Moore on the Angels. The Angels are a young squad. Got some veteran leaders, but you got guys like Jorge Soler on that team, and you do have a pretty old infield. So if you need a guy like Christian Moore, he could back you up and possibly be on the opening day roster, but we'll see. And then, like I said, Drake Baldwin for the Braves. I mean, Sean Murphy did go down, so Drake Baldwin's going to get his chance to shine here. And yeah, I like Drake Baldwin's chances of being the starting catcher for an opening day roster with the Braves, and that would be really good. Great hitter, has a 700 batting average right now in spring training, so definitely something to look out for. And then one last guy I want to highlight is Dalton Rushing. He's a catcher / outfielder. He's on the Los Angeles Dodgers. I think honestly, this is a big signing for the Dodgers with their draft, and I think he could open the year possibly being on the opening day roster as a backup. I mean, that'd be great for a guy like Dalton Rushing. I've seen him play, and he's just a great 5-tool player, and really like what he's doing there in the majors. But gonna stay on the topic of baseball, we are gonna move into some college baseball. Obviously, this past weekend, I did watch Auburn play baseball. They did upset Oregon State, and they did beat Ohio State as well and Baylor in that Arlington tournament. But just going to stay with baseball now. The SEC actually does claim the top 4 spots in the college baseball Power 10. We're going to actually look at the college baseball Power 10 right now. Your college baseball Power 10 for this week is Florida State, and then you got Texas, Mississippi State, Texas A&M, Virginia, Arkansas, Vanderbilt, Florida, Tennessee, and your number 1 is LSU. So the SEC is just all over the place right now in baseball. Conference play is actually coming up soon, so that should be good. But speaking of games, I do want to get into some scores on some huge series we're looking at this week. Currently, Georgia is up in the 8th, 6-4 against High Point University. And then later on, you got number 24 number 24 Coastal Carolina is playing number 4 North Carolina in Chapel Hill. But it's been a great game so far, 3-3 on the bottom of the 7th inning in Chapel Hill. So watch out for that game. And then this week, or actually tonight, you got Oklahoma versus Dallas Baptist, number 13 versus number 21. That should be a huge game between those two teams. And then let's see here, go to tomorrow. you actually got if it would load. Tomorrow you got number 19 Troy versus number 23 Alabama. Got a chance to watch Troy actually play against Auburn. Troy, a very solid team, number 19 in the country according to D1 baseball rankings. And then Alabama number 23 in the country. So that should be a great series that should be a great game in Tuscaloosa on Wednesday night for those two teams. And then on Thursday, no ranked versus ranked matchups at all on Thursday. But then Friday, let's see what series we got coming up this weekend. Any big time series for college baseball this weekend? We do have where's it at? You do have some conference play starting in the Big Ten between Oregon and USC. That begins on 9:30 on Friday night, and that will continue through Saturday and Sunday. But gonna kind of look at our men's college baseball rankings here. And the new college baseball rankings that have come out. LSU is number 1, Tennessee's 2, Arkansas 3, North Carolina 4, Georgia 5, Florida State 6, Florida 7, Oregon State 8, Virginia 9, Oregon 10, Clemson 11, Texas 12, Oklahoma 13, Texas A&M 14, Wake Forest 15, UC Santa Barbara 16, Ole Miss 17, Vanderbilt 18, Troy 19, Southern Miss 20, Dallas Baptist 21, Auburn 22, Alabama 23, Coastal Carolina 24, and Oklahoma State is at 25. And obviously, you got some new teams in there like Auburn, Alabama, Coastal Carolina, and Oklahoma State. Auburn actually on a 10-game winning streak for the first time since 2019. Very good team. And then Alabama undefeated, 12-0. And they're one of the undefeated teams that's really down there in the rankings, but had a pretty good season so far, the Alabama Crimson Tide. But yeah, college baseball getting into conference play here soon. Cannot wait. Obviously, not much to talk about right now because it's a lot of small schools playing bigger schools. So yeah, once conference play gets started, there'll be plenty to talk about in college baseball. But that's going to do it for college baseball. And the last segment of the day, we're going to get into some football, some NFL football. Obviously, we haven't talked about it in a long time, but we're going to get back to it a little bit. Just a few new updates and details that we're going to look at here early on in this offseason. Breaking news actually 3 hours ago out of the Jets organization. The Jets are releasing Davante Adams. Did see that coming. A lot of news was on that early on in the season, or later on in the season, but early on in the offseason. But yeah, Jets releasing Davante Adams, and I don't know really any landing spots he'd go. Pretty old guy there in Davante Adams, and could this be the end of his career possibly with his release of the Jets? We will see. But that is big news out of the Jets organization as of 3 hours ago. And in some other big news, the Vikings will not franchise tag Sam Darnold, which means Sam Darnold is a free agent. So free agency is coming up soon. And I don't know. We'll see where Davante Adams or where Sam Darnold ends up landing, but it's probably going to be a pretty big team that's willing to pay at least $50 million to get a decent quarterback. But I'm sure that's going to be huge. And then the last news of the NFL actually is Saquon Barkley now becomes the highest paid player in the NFL with his 2-year, $41 million deal. With the Eagles, and just a huge signing for the Eagles, they're now the defending Super Bowl champions, and yeah, they get a huge re-sign there with Saquon Barkley, and they get to keep a piece of their team that helped them win that Super Bowl. But yeah, huge NFL news. We will still continue to follow NFL, but we're slowly just trying to get other sports in there as well, since it's their time right now. But yeah, NFL will be back slowly but surely. Obviously the NFL draft is coming up sometime soon in April, so yeah. But that is going